Maybe you've taken some leadership assessments to find out more about your leadership style. There sure are a ton out there. The spectrum we're looking at today is not based on any deep, validated, psychological research study. I just made it up. But it's based on observing many different types of leaders and how they work, and I hope you'll find some of these thoughts helpful as you think about the people you lead. This spectrum is based on the factor of control, how much the leader controls their people, situation, projects, and communication. So let's start with high control. If we think about the extreme person who has control of everything, this leader is a dictator. Dictators like to be in the know, make decisions, tell everyone what to do, and might even get upset if people don't follow their directions. A leader who begins to release control and interact more with followers is a director. Directors still retain control and know what's going on, but they might get a little more feedback from their people. They still call most of the shots, but they'll let others under them have a bit more latitude in what they do. As a leader continues to release control and allow the follower to do more, the leader becomes a developer. Developers want their people to take more ownership. They'll walk alongside the followers and give suggestions and coaching. They know they can't control everything and might even let something fail, but it's all for the purpose of developing the person under them. When leaders release people to do more and more on their own, they become delegators. Delegators release the tasks to the people under them. They'll check in once in a while to see how progress is going, but the follower has ownership and takes on major responsibilities. And then we come to the leader who just drops everything and says, "Good luck," the dumper. Dumpers are so happy to get things off their plate that they just pass everything on. They leave the person to do what they want and might only check in at the end to collect the product. Well, it's probably obvious to you by my choice of words which two leadership styles are not desirable, the dictator and the dumper. Why? Well, let's look at what happens when these two leaders intersect with the initiative effort of their follower. Followers fall on a spectrum as well. Some have high initiative and some have low initiative. If you have a dictator with a high initiative follower, what happens? That person becomes a rebel. They get restless. They like to drive forward and move on items, but they're stuck waiting for the dictator. That person will ultimately rebel or have a conflict with the dictator, or, if they're a conflict avoider, leave altogether. When a dictator leads a person with low initiative, that person becomes a drone. They become yes people, just going about their day doing their tasks, a glassy-eyed stare displaying the lack of brain activity behind their empty eyes. There's no reason for a drone to think. Everything's been dictated by their leader. On the other end of the spectrum, when the dumper leads a person with high initiative, the follower becomes a rogue. This person has total autonomy to do their work, and without guidance, it's very easy for them to veer off path. They go their own direction and might end up deviating from the mission. When the dumper leads a person with low initiative, the poor person becomes overwhelmed. The term orphan is a good description because they're left to their own devices but really don't know what to do. They become paralyzed because there's no guidance or support when they need it. Well, leaders have various reasons why they choose to have these leadership styles. Sometimes it's a natural bent, or maybe it's training, or sometimes the circumstance calls for it, like in moments of crisis, you might need someone very strong with a commanding presence who takes charge of the chaos. But even then, I would argue a director is far more effective than a dictator who tries to maintain tight control. You might tend towards becoming a dumper if you have a high-capacity person who could take on huge loads with very little checking in. But you still have to guard against them going rogue, and thus you must become more of a delegator. As I have observed, it seems that a large reason that people have these leadership styles is related to their desire for the good of the person under them. Let's call it empathy. This empathy takes on a bell curve. The dictator is more about wanting control rather than what is best for the follower. The dumper can take this approach because either they're more concerned about their own workload or they don't want to deal with the hassle of developing people. The developer in the middle wants to help their people succeed while balancing it with the need to get the work done. So the extremes are usually unhealthy leadership. The other 3 styles fall into the zone of productivity. These leadership styles enable teams and individuals to work more effectively. This illustration becomes a great way to evaluate your leadership style. Are you thinking about the best for your people? Are you using the same leadership style with all people? It's easy to say, "Oh, I'm not a dictator. I never order people around with a lack of feeling for them." And perhaps that's true most of the time. But maybe there are situations where you become more controlling. It's developing good self-awareness to ask yourself if you're creating greater trust and health in the team in those moments. If you're leading a person with high initiative, experience, and drive, it's better to fall on the delegating end so that they can have autonomy and be productive. You don't have to worry about them if you know they're capable of handling the task. But if your follower has low experience or initiative, it's better to be on the director end so that you can give direction to help them get their feet under them. All this shows that an important part of leadership is adjusting your style to the people you are leading. There is no one-style-fits-all kind of leadership, and the more you evaluate your style and how your people respond, the more effective of a leader you will become. If you find this video helpful, please check out strategysketchnotes.com for more information on coaching, teaching, and online classes. And I would love to hear your comments and thoughts. Thanks, and happy leading!